Hello everyone and welcome to my stream. So today we are gonna it says fix things for Steam release. What that means is I have like two big things I need to fix. It's essentially stuff in the tutorial that isn't so good, so I need to look into that. I'm just gonna post this little stream somewhere on my Discord server with it. There we go. So we go to here and we say fixing things for Steam release, and then we do like that. We'll pop out the chat. I hide it. You see my face is in the corner of the screen. The nice thing about that is that I can hide the chat behind it. That way I don't have to look to the other screen to look at the chat, but also the chat doesn't have to be on the screen. Just like that, and then I make it always on top. All right. So today, fix things for Steam release. I should say like fix confusing things in tutorial for Steam release. Maybe I'll do like that. Put this over here, like that. Okay, so we can play the game. Maybe we'll see what happens. Right, I forgot to send my message on Discord. There we go. I typed the message, but I didn't send it. So here's the little game. If you can already buy it on itch, but I'm gonna release it in March. I've stopped saying, well, it's still officially, no, I've changed it to, on Steam now it says March 2024. I used to say Q1, but when you get into March and you say I'm gonna release it in Q1, then that's a very strange way of saying I'm gonna release it in March, because that's the last month of Q1, right? So I changed it to March. We'll see which date. The way it works with Steam is that two weeks before you must always have a set release date on Steam. And 2 weeks before that date, when it's 14 days left, well, when it's 3 weeks left, Steam emails you and says, warning, when it's 14 days left, we will lock your release date, so you can't change it anymore. So you must, like, if you want to delay your release, you need to do it at least 14 days before the release date, because they need to, they want to have some control over their marketing on the platform, how they show stuff. Okay, so anyways, so I'm gonna release this in March sometime on Steam. The game is already out on itch and pretty well received on itch, but the biggest problem I see in this game is the tutorial. So what happens is you run here, maybe I'll play with controller, it's even. So you you start here and then you run, and then here is supposed to, like, okay, I fell down into this cave, and then here you kind of learn press X or A on the Xbox controller. This is a PlayStation controller. You learn to press X to jump, and then also here you're forced to do a little climb, and this is all fine. People always get this. And here you kind of, okay, hold X to climb. Okay, that's all good. This is where you get into trouble, because I teach too many things at once here. So, and there's also graphical problems here with how the tutorial is presented. So the idea here is that you should pick up this thing, which is butter. You can inspect it, and then the cat says it's butter, blah blah blah. And I've tried to make a sign up here. I'm just trying to make people learn to pick stuff up and use them with the environment, right? So then you go down here and you pick this up, and then you go up here again, and then you use the butter with this opening here is the point. So this thing here is supposed to be like, okay, pick up, and then it's like, okay, fly through here with butter, and then okay, that's all good, and you fly through. Now what I've seen happen instead of this is that people stand here. Hello, someone who joined the stream forgot that their stream page was open, and then when I started talking it scared them. That's always a funny thing, like it's just like crazy, I'm going crazy, the computer has started speaking. Okay, now I'll show what happens instead. We restart the game. This is what I'm just gonna skip this intro. This is what usually happens. No, not usually, but what I've seen happen. People go here and they go down. And one streamer who streamed this game I saw did this. Ran up here. And since I only test played this game with the PlayStation controller, right? Then I didn't see this, but on the Xbox controller there is a B button, and in here you've sort of used X or like A for Xbox controller, and then you have B here. So we'll be like, okay, here it seems like you climb by holding X, and here it's like an arrow up. Oh, you pick up with B and holding the arrow. Maybe it's like you hold B and then, you know, it's like this people used tapping buttons, and because the game has already teach them to look at these wall paintings, and the important information, right, is down here. But you won't have. I'm even blinking this one, but you know, but people still miss it, because what you need to do here is like, okay, I need to go here, and I need to realize that there's both need to go to the other inventory items or ability items or whatever you want to call it. And then I need to mark this one and click some button. In this case, you need to click the square on the PlayStation controller with this to pick it up. And once you've done that, I think you're pretty okay, because then you know that you can change items and you sort of see it flying into there. But the big problem here is that there's both a red herring or whatever you want to call it with the B on the butter. So that B cannot be there. At least not on the wall. Like, I'm just gonna have to redesign the graphics of this thing. So that, yeah. And yeah. But there is a more subtle problem here, right? That I'm teaching to look down here and pick things up and use things for the first time. You will never have had to, there has never been any need to look down here at all before this point. So I've seen some people get stuck here a few seconds. I've seen people get stuck here for like so long time that I'm like, you know, that it's a real problem, because it sort of breaks the whole vibe of it. Like, it's just confusion immediately. So what I'm thinking of doing is to have, maybe I'll change this graphic somehow so it's not an arrow up here, but that's not the important part. The important part is actually over here. So I can't teach someone to change stuff down here and use a thing to get another thing and to use that. They must have already seen that. At least I must separate it so that they've understood that they can look down here and do something in a more simple way. So my fix for this will be to, at this point here, we have sort of the cave entrance here. You fall down here, and then it's gonna be like a wall here with a face on it. It's like the cave entrance, and then you need to speak. So then you need to speak to it, because the default is that you come down here, and it has selected the inspect, right? So what you need to do then is select the talk, and just go up and talk to it, and just say something, and then it will open. But then you've learned that, okay, I can change this to talk, because you will be stuck in this tiny area, and the only thing you can do is to try to talk, and there's no weird red herring or whatever you want to call it, you know, because there's no weird arrow up or B button or anything, and it's also just you just need to press, okay, I need to go to the side here and then use this thing. I think people will figure that out eventually. And then when they come over here, okay, they spoke to the cave opening, and essentially what happens is it opens its mouth, so it opens the mouth of the cave. Haha. And then you run over here, and then I might not even need this much tutorial here, because it might be like you're gonna maybe you talk to the butler or something, but eventually you're gonna realize that there's one more action here. And maybe I should change the graphic of this. I was thinking of like sort of a paw or something that sort of tries to hold it up or something, but it's a bit limited in pixels down here, so I'm not sure about that. Yeah, so it's a bunch of different things. Well, it's just two things really, but if I do that, I think the tutorial will be like a lot better. The only cause for concern there is of course that you start up here and it's like, okay, our left arrow or the stick run to the left, and then you fall down here. This one is trying to teach you to go to the other direction, but I don't think that's really necessary, you know. It's people will that's not the main problem here. People can figure out to push the stick the other way. I'm trying to make this game as approachable as I can, you know, for people who are not pro gamers. But yeah, I mean, I'm already failed a bit in a one way, because they have this fun, instead of just a game where you go around and press some buttons and interact stuff, I had this funny interface down here, right? But anyways. Chat is asking, I haven't played the game, but why separate controls on keyboard to two hands? You mean like you could have like jump on up arrow and then use on enter or something, and then but then you still need one button for this stuff. Change the, so then you're like, okay, it's starting to become two hands already. And then if it is two hands already, then it's just almost nicer to have them like separated a bit. But I have remappable control, so if you want to, you can sort of play it with one hand, but it will, you know, you will have to move your hand around a lot. But it is a fair point. I was thinking for a while to change the use key to enter, so you kind of go up to something and just enter, and then you can jump on up arrow. But then I was like, okay, but where do I put the next and previous down here, these two? I'm like, yeah. So anyways, so we need some kind of, nevertheless, I need to make this kind of opening here. Fetch my, first we need to draw some graphics, I think. I know sort of what I want. It's just a new little NPC essentially. But it's a very strange NPC. Hello, Sansen. Okay, how big is this? Let's measure this area here where we want to put in this new NPC. 1, 2, 3, 4, 16 times. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's 4 squares and times 3 squares. Okay, then we'll try to do something like that. You can do math in these kind of funny things. 16 times 4. Yeah, it's afternoon here. It's 3:30. Okay. So this is how big this area is, I think. Yeah. Then we can just to start with fill it with some kind of brown color. Take the little pen here and then try to figure out like how should I think it should be a bit rounded on its back. Like I said, this is the cave entrance. It's sort of like a face or something in the cave. So we will take this dark color here maybe. This is probably gonna get very silly very quickly. Hello. I mean, logically there should be one eye and the other eye maybe you can't see because it's sort of facing. It's sort of gonna be a face that's here that's facing out towards this area here. Yeah, it's already looking silly. But that's the vibe of this game, silly NPCs. I think we're just gonna move the ice down a bit. So this will be the first thing you talk to in the game actually. The first thing, maybe the first thing you interact with is this. Whatever it is. Let's give him a bit of a hint. Maybe it's a, I don't know, a woob woob. Now it almost looks like a tree a bit. I guess this is what we're doing. And then we need to save this in my source data folder here. And we can call it cave mouth, cave face. And then we can export it as put it in the textures folder. Cave face. Okay, let's try putting that in the game. That's first things first. I will make a new sort of NPC in the game code. See here. Hello Shuvik. Gosh, 2048. Nice power of 2 number there. Always gets happy when I see a power of 2 number. Cave face, okay, and yeah, so essentially it's big enough. Like that. So essentially these entity kinds is a lot of different entities you can run into in the game, and I put entities in here that need some kind of code or something connected to them. So I just add something to this enum, and then when I recompile I get 2 compiler errors. One of them is in the editor, which is asking what kind of placeholder it wants in the editor. So then I just say like this. Oh no, like this. I'm trying to get comfy here, adjust my mic position a bit. Always me and my microphones. And then we compile that, and then it says, oh, so this is just inside the editor. It's like, okay, what is the placeholder texture, and it switches on the type. So then you just provide a texture here, and that's just how it will look in the editor, but it doesn't have to be exactly how it looks in the game. And this is the code that spawns entities from entity kind. So I added this here, so now I must have it in this switch here. So here's a list of all the NPCs. There's some misplaced things in here, I see. These 2 guys are not NPCs. I'm gonna move you to other. And then we go back up. And we add in the new NPC somewhere here. Case dot. I can add to my list here. Add new NPC at cave entrance. So you learn to talk to something early. It's nice to have bullet points on the side, so if anyone joins later, it's not totally weird what I'm doing. Cake face. Cake face. That's not a good insult. Hello, cake face. So you need to, what you do here is you return a new entity. This is just sort of the prototype entity, whatever. So you just set it up however you want. You can also link it up to some kind of use item handler or something here, which means that what happens when you try to use an item with this thingy. Renderables equals, and then we go here and we say 0 equals texture. Get texture handle cave face. I think that's all I need to get started. Oh, M. I haven't been working. The last week I barely did anything on the game because I was so busy. If any one of you watched my new YouTube videos and my blog posts, the make games using Odin and Raylib stuff, I was gonna quickly whip those up. The blog post took maybe 3 days to write, and the videos took like a day each to make. So it was like 5 days full-time work to get those. So it was more work than I thought it would be. But it was because I wanted to start a new series, and then I don't want to have just one episode. I wanted to have 2 immediately. And that kind of made it a lot more work. Okay, so now we should be able to place the cake face, as we call it now. Place entities. Oh, there it is. Oh, I already feel that this is gonna be good. Where it fits in so nicely there. Okay, he will be at maybe layer 2 or something. Now, of course, it has no collision currently, but we can fix that. How do I add a collider now again? Not like this. Yeah, maybe it would be nice to do like, I'm gonna steal some code from the rock wall here. I want the collider to be sort of as big as the texture. So I will just cave face like that. And then I will do this, remove this. I stole this code too. So what this does is it fetches the cave face texture here, and then it fetches the size of it, and then I can make the collider of the same size immediately, so I don't have to. I can also manually type it in, but there you go. Climb on it. It's a good start. What to do now? Hello, Scaffus. Scaffus says that they got into Odin thanks to JDH and my series. Ah, that's nice. Yeah, Scaffus is also saying that Odin is cool, but the fact that everything is global catch them off guard. Yeah, it's yeah, everything is kind of global within the same package, right? In Odin, like that's the default at least. But I think the sort of school of thought comes from people who program C, and then they use sort of the Unity build style, which has nothing to do with the Unity game engine. But you know, when you include all the C files into one file and just make one compilation unit, I think it might be a bit inspired by that, because if you look at the Odin compiler, which is written in C, then it is programmed in that way. It's like one file that just includes all the C files, and then it just compiles it as one compilation unit. So I think Bill, who made Odin, maybe liked that style, so he that sort of became the style for the packages. But then of course, if you put something in another package, then that gets its own sort of namespace, or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, it's a nice language. Episode 3 will maybe come out. Episode 3 of the Game Make Games with Odin will maybe come out in the weekend or something, sometime around there. I haven't even started on it, but I think I want to do. I kind of promised that it would be sprite animation, just because, you know, the series so far is like, okay, let's have try to get some super basic gameplay in, but at some point you also need to cater to people who be like, it's not fun unless it looks a bit fun. So I think I want to make a sprite animation. Anyways, so we have this guy here. And we maybe we should move the collider back a bit so you don't climb in the air so much. Let's do that. Maybe I skip this. Maybe I'm typing the collider manually anyways. So we do like this instead. Collider size is... let's just type something in here. This is the size of the collider, which should be 3 times 16 and 4 times 16, and this should be minus 3 times 16 times 0.5, and then minus 4. The reason I could here save this in a variable, but these are gonna diverge when I change the size. They're not gonna be the same because I need to offset it in a funny way to get the collider where I want it. Let's see if that works. Reload. Yeah, now it's still in the same spot. So now we just make it a little bit less thick. We will say something like this maybe. Yeah, you see it moved there. Oh, accidentally recompiled too quickly, and then you can get a file lock like that. Maybe that's what I want. Oh, this mouth I will make smaller. I just drew something random. Yeah, this is fine. I don't know if you should even be able to climb on it. Maybe you try climbing out and it gets angry. I don't know. So we have that. Then we can add, let's go back to Aseprite and look at this. I'm not supposed to be able to. Oh, I need to export it. Oh, my export didn't do anything. It went in the wrong place. Go here. Like that. There you go. Maybe that's fantastic. And then I want to have a bit more of a curve on the back here, I think. Something like that, maybe. Yeah, that's perfect for now. Maybe he can have a eye color or something. And also related to the JDH stuff, I would like to thank JDH for what's it called? For the shoutouts on this stream. I got quite a lot of people interested in my channel due to that. And I sort of, someone told me that, oh, JDH kind of mentioned you, and I opened the stream and it was like my YouTube channel on it. I was like, oh, that's very nice. Okay, so now we need to be able to speak to this thing. I think that's the next step. Or maybe we can add an exam in text. What should I say? Well, so this is when you look at it with the this thing here. Then maybe you say like it's the mouth of the cave. Maybe. It's better to be maybe a bit obvious in these cases, because since it's tutorial stuff, rather than try to be like, you know, make it, you know, you don't want things to be too much kind of in your face sometimes. It's trying to tell you what to do, but oh yeah, it's not interactable. That's why we're not getting that stuff. Recompile. And then let's turn on the debug. See, his interaction point is currently up here, but I would like it to be sort of here. This little red dot in this red area, that's very hard to see. It's weird you can interact with it. It's in the middle. So then you have all these funny options here. Interactable dealer from facing. Okay. Facing equals dot west. And then I need to... this is also important. I can just do this and see what happens. So I want to offset this little thing here. So now it got offset up here, okay. Yeah. So this is just like offset from the middle of it, and then we want it to be sort of out here, the interaction point, so we can talk to it and stuff later. Minus 15 maybe. Oh, no, wait. Let's remove these first, so I can focus on this point here. Ah, there you go. Now it's down here. Maybe it can come up a tiny bit and out a tiny bit. No, it's here. That's quite good, maybe. And although I think this is where the... is this where the... if I don't remember how my old own code works anymore. Where does its talk bubble up here? That's the big question. Okay, this is the point you need to be close to interact with it, and the icon you can put anywhere by offsetting it with this. So we move this one maybe out like that, maybe up a bit, and this one we move. Where should I put the icon? In its face here, maybe here above its eyes. Yeah, let's put it above the eyes. So we take 5 and then like minus 20. Minus 30. It's right in the eyes now. 8, 35. I should try talking to it. And then somehow I need to get people to understand that they can get to this one. Hello, cave face. That's the default line. 10. Sounds like a funny insult. Cave face. Maybe the... I think that's quite good. Maybe I'll move the eyes down a bit later. We'll see when I animate it. And then we need a new dialogue. Interaction, interactable distance. What's that? Oh, that's how far away you need to stand to talk to it. Okay, and now I need a dialogue added to it. So then I need dialogue name to add a dialogue. Cave face, and then let's see here. Brownie TCG says, I think it's about I was talking about the Unity build, that where you put everything in one thingy. You say that you import that .h file in C, you still have to link the object files or the C files with the written code. Yeah, but the thing is that some people do is that they make like main.c, and then in main.c they like include player.c, so they include a C file in a C file. And then then the whole compilation script is just compile main, and it's all just one giant global blob of stuff. It's usually extremely fast to compile, even though you can't get multi-threaded compiler because of everything being one compilation unit. It's often faster than having a multi-threaded compiler. So the Odin compiler is written in that way in C. And then I think that sort of way of building stuff has inspired the package system in Odin, but it's more sort of, it's just all .odin files inside a folder are compiled into one thing. Like they're only for physical. The splitting things up in files in a package is usually mostly for organizing it for like your own sanity, but it's not so much for giving it a namespace or anything by having it in separate files or anything like that. Yeah. Okay, cave face. Cool. Now we have a dialogue. There's a quirk to my dialogue system when you add a new one. Since I don't add them that often, this is all the dialogues in the game. So what you need to do is I haven't made a button to add them. So what you need to do is like, okay, how many are there now? This is the 18th. So this is 0, 1, so this is 17, I think. Or is it 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Yeah, because it's 18 lines. Okay, so the quirk here is that my system is not so good at, it doesn't add them automatically to this file. So it does, in that case, I must just prep the data a tiny bit. I just must do this when I add a new one. And now it's added. Because now the name 17 is the enum number here. So then I can go into my dialog editor, go to cave face, and hopefully if I put a node here and save, did that work? Did I do anything wrong? I did do something wrong. This one ended up here. Name equals 17. That's supposed to be how you do it. And I just reset the whole game. Go into the dialog editor. Ah, now it worked. I think I hadn't reset my state of the game properly before I entered the dialog editor. So now, yeah, now my stuff ends up in the correct dialog. So now you can talk to this thing. Let's see here. What should it say? Ooh. Then you can have some choices maybe. Hi, who are you? Oh, maybe you know who it is. It's just... Maybe it's called like Kevin, but like a cave. Kevin. Ask it how things are, and then it says stuff like, what does it say? It says maybe this game is known for having stupid puns. That's not on purpose, by the way. I'm not like adding puns all the time, because it just happened over time that I wrote these kind of dialogues and then silly things happen. So that's why you ask, when you ask the waterfall, what's it like to be a waterfall, it says wet and stuff like that. It's just random crap I wrote. How Kevin, how are things? I don't know what it says. It can say yeah, whatever. I come up with something later. Sometimes you can't come up with dialogue. Then you just write something random. Nice and toasty. No. Whatever. And then you can have the other one is like, can I pass through the caves? Sure, cat. See you later. And that sort of ends the dialogue, but it needs also to trigger an event that sort of makes it open its silly mouth. So now we just need to change the dialogue name. Okay, face here. So now you should be able to talk to it. If you do like that. Jump, jump, jump. Okay, still can't... Why can't he... talk? Wait, did I... No, I put it here. Hello. So long time ago I added a dialogue that I forgot how it works. Ah, it was just in some silly state. Hi Kevin, how are things? Nice and toasty. Can I pass through to the cave? Sure cat, see you later. And now it of course doesn't do anything yet. But that's what we're gonna fix. Okay, how to fix that? We're gonna add an event that makes this start animating. And it's gonna open its mouth and it's just gonna essentially become like an open cave. It's all very strange. Let's start with just removing do the gameplay first. So remove the collider or change the collider so you can walk through. I think that's a good idea. Because that's quick and easy to do. Okay, so when it has said that here, then you need to send an event. So we go to the event list here. This thing, remove collider and animate. Can that... No, that one can be used. I was thinking that maybe I want to start animating this, but I also want maybe I want it to still have some kind of collider at the top here or something. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think it still needs some kind of collider. So it, because it's gonna like open its mouth, so you can just walk through here. I'm gonna get some more coffee. Die 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 do do dee dee do. Okay. Maybe I'll just make a special event for this. Event open cave. Like that. Yeah. Hello Geartiop and box issues. What is up? I am trying to add this new NPC to my game in here. It's part of the tutorial. You start up here. Then I had some trouble that I was trying to teach too many things at once. So I want to teach the player to talk to stuff first. So for that reason, I am adding this thing here so you can talk to it. Thank you. Adios. Let's see here. What I'm doing now is I want another camera here. I realize I want some kind of locked camera in this area because the camera tends to get a bit funny, like it. So maybe I'll do something like this, and then I name this camera volume. So now the camera wants to be locked like this. So if you come from up here, and just drop in, and it just goes whoop. What I can do also with this is I can delete it and make it slightly higher. Maybe we do it like this. And then we say camera volume. Yeah, that's better. Still see some stuff up there. So because now it feels like maybe I should push it slightly more to the side, but it's nice that you see there are things in here. But push it a bit to the side. Maybe a bit more. Maybe I want to hide the stuff in the cave until you get in there. Because now this is sort of in the center and nice. I sort of want to trap the player until they realize they must talk to this thing. I'm even gonna this stuff in the background here. I'm gonna disable for now. So there's like this. So you're down here, and what will happen is initially you can walk around here, and the only thing, like if you play with gamepad now, the only thing that you see is like, oh, I can inspect stuff with this button. Hopefully you will try that, and then you can try talk to the cave, and then it says I should try talking to it, and you're like, okay, talk. You start, you will start looking for something. And then what I want you to figure out here is that you can change to the talk item. Right. So now you can talk to it. So now we just need to do something with that event that I made. I made an event open cave. Case event open cave. And then we go down here. Put it at the bottom of this. This is my big event switch. Case event open cave. What we'll do here is we'll tag up the cave with some kind of tag. Cave face. Yeah, I realized something I should do for these streams is instead of just making the text bigger in editor, it's actually maybe better if I change the DPI scaling of Windows to a higher number, because then everything gets bigger in the editor also, because I can't just make these bigger. I did that for my videos I posted recently. It was quite a good idea too. Tag cave face. What do you mean? What does the Undertale dialogue system mean? I'm asking chat. Dun 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 dun. Right. So now I have a tag. Did I tag it up properly? Yes. Good. Event open cave. Now it can be like, okay, cave is find entity with tag dot cave face. Does this return an entity handle? Yes, it does. So entity handle is just like a number, like an index into an entity array. So I need to do like Oh yeah, you mean that Undertale's that Undertale had a massive switch statement for all the dialogue. Yeah, I don't do that. This was just a massive switch statement for all the events in the game. So it's just for each event it runs some code. It's but for the dialogues, I actually have a whole dialogue editor here. So you have like, you can go to anything here and be like, okay, and you have this kind of fancy graph I made a little graph tool to sort of check conditions and say stuff, and I have a whole video on how I built this stuff. In the end, I think maybe I would have been better off with my own little text format. So it's like, you know, text files with like say this, check conditions, because doing graphs like this is it can get a bit old. Aiden Corson is asking, I was wondering, how did you build the game for each platform? Did you compile the executable separately on each operating system, or did you use a cross compiler? I did not use a cross compiler. So my game, you can buy it on itch currently, this game. So that what I'm doing here is I'm preparing for the Steam release. I will make a patch for Steam for itch, and also that will be the first Steam release. And on itch I released it on Windows, Linux and Mac. And what I've done is just I have Linux. This machine runs Windows. On my laptop I have Linux and Windows. I just installed Linux on that Ubuntu just to be able to build and test this game on Linux. And then I have a very old MacBook Air that I build on, and that's also my sort of lowest hardware spec that I test on. It's like a MacBook Air from 2012 or 2011 or so, 2012 maybe. So I just built it on itch, but there's no big build infrastructure, you know, for this. I can show the build script. So the way I've done this is that there is this. The Windows version has this editor. I have never compiled all the editor stuff on Linux. Well, the code compiles, but it's not. You can't get to it because I have like on Windows I run this sort of build.bat, which essentially runs build game and build main, and build game is just a single Odin command that like it just tells the Odin executable, please build all the files in the main folder here, all these Odin files, because the dot makes it take all these folders, all these files, build them into one package and output them as a DLL. So this is what I'm doing for the dev build sort of. And then the main is a separate build main. So the build runs build game and build main. Build main just builds a separate package called main that lives up here. There's this, and this is for the hot reloading because I have code hot reloading. So this thing just, it's 250 lines of code that it's just a wrapper to sort of load the DLL and stuff of the game DLL and hot reload it whenever it changes on disk. But that stuff is only enabled on Windows in this sort of build, in this sort of development, because I have build release. Here's build release.bat. This is for building the Windows release version. This is the version that you can buy on itch and will end up on Steam. This one instead runs Odin build main. It builds the package called main release, and it also statically links Raylib and everything. And if you look in main release, then you can ignore these files. But main release essentially just it does not have the hot reloading because this is the release version of the game. It does not need that. It just imports the whole main game package. Instead of as a DLL, it just imports it as a normal Odin package, and then it uses the same stuff. It's like, okay, init the game, and then it runs the update loop, and then it shuts it down. But it doesn't go via having a what's it called, hot reload DLL or anything. So that's, I can use the exact same code. These are the same. If you look at main.odin, Here it's like, okay, game API.init window, game API.update. And these maps to the functions from the game, from like in game.odin. I have like game init. This proc is exported into the DLL, but when you're running from the release build, then you just run those procs directly as from the package instead of going via the DLL. And then on Mac and Linux, you have build release, and then I have a few more here. I think this is sorted with in a silly order. Then I have build release.sh here. And this is, I think, this is the same script I use for Mac and Linux. And it does the same thing, you see. It just Odin build main release package. So that means none of the release builds ever get to the hot reload stuff. And it's only the dev build that gets the hot reload stuff by compiling the main package instead of main release. And I only do that on Windows. It probably works. It almost works on Linux and Mac. It's just that it currently is hardwired to load a DLL. But it could probably be made to work, but there's no reason for me to do that because that's not my development platform. So I just, if you don't have everyone who has a Windows machine can get Linux working. If you want to release on Mac and you don't have a Mac, maybe you know someone who has a Mac, and you can just go home to them and give them a cup of coffee and ask if you can borrow it and build your game or something. I don't know. Macs are a bit annoying like that. They're a bit hard to cross-compile to, and yeah, it's a bit of, you need to have the hardware. Specific hardware. You can't just install Mac OS on your PC, like you can with Linux. It's funny thing, I compiled the game on my Mac, on this old 2012 Mac, and it has too little RAM. So it gets a bit slow sometimes, because I guess it got starts swapping out memory or something, the disk. But in order to, I needed to build the Odin compiler for some reason. I didn't use the source. I didn't use the binary version of the Odin compiler. I needed to build it, and then first I needed to install LLVM, and then I installed LLVM from Homebrew, which is this thing where you find programs. On Mac, some of them are built from source, and then when I installed LLVM, which is the compiler backend for the Odin compiler, then it started to build it from source on this very old MacBook. And LLVM is huge and takes forever to compile. On this MacBook, it took 9 hours to compile LLVM, and then the Odin compiler, compiled in a few seconds after that. But I was just like, it was just sitting here, sort of the fan was going crazy constantly. Yeah, I think it's a combination of LLVM being a huge, overly complex thing that takes a lot of time to compile, and also that machine has too little RAM, and those two things together was just like, no, it just takes forever to compile. What's happening here? Anyways, I was doing something before I talked about all that. I was trying to make this one. Oh yeah, there was the event. It was the event. Event open cave here. So I find the cave face, and if cave face is get entity raw cave. So this gets a pointer to the entity. Do I have something to like? We can do like this. Disable entity maybe. Entity handle. Remove colliders for entity. Okay. Let's try that. Now it should just No, you should, after you say that, you can just walk through. That's what's gonna happen. It didn't work. Is it because I don't send the event yet? To say, oh. Sending the event helps. Tada! The collider is gone. But actually I want to kind of change the collider, but yeah, I can do that later. First we can maybe it's time to animate this guy. Dramacomatic says that they love how devs talk to each other and about their games and how they work. Yeah, it's nice to share. Like someone asks in the chat, you know, it's something easy to talk about since I have all the code here and stuff. So it's quite nice to just show some stuff. Okay, let's maybe animate the thing now. So now we enter. Now we will leave Codeland for a tiny while and try to see if we can animate this guy. I use this Wacom tablet here so I can paint and stuff. So what you do in Aseprite is that you have these. It's just frames one after the other, and then you change the picture each frame. So maybe he will be like this, and then maybe let's see, how was the first one? Hello Austin. Oh, I have to change my brush size a bit here. Oh, it's in some funny. What? How do I? That's what I wanted to do. And then maybe on the second frame, this eye also goes up a tiny bit, and then we start to sort of fill this in. So what I want is sort of like an opening this big, so you can just walk through. Because this is the mouth of the cave, remember? It's starting to look amazing. Maybe this eye should be slightly more like that. Blah. Sometimes animating is actually... I tend to draw with the pen when I draw new stuff, but animating is sometimes so technical that I end up using the mouse a bit more. But maybe for this area here I can. Let's see how this looks. Also, the wall behind this guy is dark color, so I could actually use transparency here instead, which I might switch it out for transparency later. But it's just easier for me to see how it looks in here. Why can I have one brush size bigger, maybe? This will be like some kind of dentist nightmare or something. Open your mouth really big now. Dracomatic asks if the art style is inspired by Baba Is You. No, I haven't actually played. I know the name, but I haven't played it actually. It's inspired by my silly brain. No, I don't know. I've sort of, while making this game, I've sort of learned to do pixel art. I could do like static pixel art before I, you know, like I did some static images, as in non-animating stuff before this game, but I haven't animated before this game, but it has been quite fun to animate. You can learn to animate by just going by feeling, really, because especially when you're doing pixel art, because it's a bit more forgiving in a sense that there's less of a uncanny valley you can get into. Like with 3D animation, and if you do more high def, then you don't get away with as much. So it's a fun place to start with for animation pixel art. Wait, why did I move the eyes like that? I think this will also be a good first impression of the game. That is just this bizarre thing that happens that... And this will win an Oscar. Oh, yeah. It's getting dark in here. Poof. Did you get blind? Team flashed the room. It's Sweden, so it's a bit less wintry now, but it's 4:30 and it's starting to get dark outside. It's not like in December though, when it gets dark at 3 o'clock. Right. So we have that guy now. We go to... Now there's a couple of things here. Num frames. This is something I want to fix for my next game. Is... you know, Aseprite files have all the frames, and it knows how long should each frame be. Currently what I do is I manually key inside the game. It's like, okay, this is the frame time for this animation, and it's constant. I can't have per frame times. And also it doesn't know how many frames it is. So I have this just giant switch statement that says how long each animation is. So each time I make an animation slightly longer, I have to go in here and change it, which is annoying. What I will do for my next game is I will just make it so that I can import the .asprite files into the game, and it will process it. So it's what I can do if I just, you know, use these files directly is that I can fetch how many frames are there, and I can also get the per frame duration. I just didn't have that. I could have done that from the start of the game, and I could still change to it being like that, but I'm just a bit too late in the process to dare to change the whole pipeline for everything. So everything is just a bit weird right now with all this. Dracomatic says that they gotta wake up early to catch all these foreign streamers. Yeah, but also, I don't know, like many European streamers tend to stream in the evening, which should be... I mean, if you're West Coast USA, then you would be in 8 or 9 hours difference. So, yeah, it would still be around like just after lunch or something, I guess. And if you're on the East Coast US, then maybe it's like early afternoon. But yeah, I'm doing sort of an afternoon stream here because I needed some motivation to get these things done, and sometimes just having some people watch you is a good kick in the butt to get your itself to start animating. What am I doing? Yeah. Case.caveface. Return how many frames? 6. Okay. Fine. Re-export this guy. And now you see you see all the frames here, but then I go let's see here. Oh yeah, it's because create entity from entity kind. It's always fun when you make a game because you always get this long list of, for my next game I want to do this, and it's like this ever-growing list. Like you should try to fix some of those things at least for the current game, because eventually you're just making not a very good game by just constantly saying, for my next game I'm gonna fix this. But anyways, that's not so. It's just easy to have a trap where you always be like, if it's like my game is not fun, I'm just gonna fix it for the next game. Then maybe that's something you should consider fixing. But if it's like this pipeline of how I import these assets is slightly annoying, you don't need to fix that if it's workable. But if it's you're wasting like lots of time on it, then you should fix it. But you know, it's just okay, so now it's like this again. So now it's just showing the first frame of this animation. So what we can do now is we can go to my event open cave, and we can say like this: if CE equals get entity raw cave C. This gets the pointer of the cave, and then I say cave.renderable 0.is animating true. And I remove the collider. I see. Actually, also I should make sure that this thing is one shot, otherwise it will loop. Okay, maybe this will work. Ooh. Ah, it's looping. Very scary. Okay, again. There you go. Okay, it looks a bit weird because it totally blended into the bottom. So I think I should keep. It looks like some kind of like I said, it looks like some kind of dentist nightmare kind of thing now. So maybe we can keep some of this stuff like this. Like that is better. Here you go. Amazing. Then maybe it's fun if you can still talk to it, but maybe after that point all its talk is like because it has the mouth open. Hi. Okay, good night, Austin. I guess you're in the, what's it called? Asia or Australia or something. East Asia or Australia. Right. Oh, interesting. I'm getting... Oh, I don't have the profiler on here. Or do I? No. I was getting some stuttering here. And I recently added a profiler to my game, but I think my... I think my game build game. I don't think this one. Well, it does say define. Why doesn't it? Oh wait, do I need to? No? Okay. I'm just trying to figure out why my profiler doesn't work. Oh, it's F9. I thought it was P. See, now it says P in the corner here. And that means it's currently profiling. And then my stuttering disappeared. Come on. Aww. It was like... I can show at least what happens. So I press F9 and then it profiles, and then what happens is in my folder here I get like a profile.spall file here when I'm done. And what I can do then, this is a profiler written in Odin and C, and spall profiler. And you can both buy it and get a desktop version, but actually you get quite far with just using the web. I think it's a WebAssembly app actually, this. So you can pull your profile data into here. And you can, this is very nice and snappy. Now I can, oh wait, I want full screen. Oh, not that much full screen. I meant in a new tab. Like that. Now I can zoom in here, you know, and see my frames. This is my game here. It's updating. It does the player update, and it draws the world, draws all the tiles, all the entities, actually render stuff, and then almost all the time of the rest is, of course, since I have VSync on, this is waiting for vertical blank. So you see this is 300 what's it called, microseconds, and then the rest is it essentially wait. It does the flip of the back buffer and then waits. It does some extra stuff here, but that's mostly what it does. It's just waiting. So that's quite nice. I recommend you, if anyone wants a profiler, that this profiler you make manually, you put in profile scope here and there. Like I have this, for example, in a game update, I have a profile scope here, and this one will automatically take the proc name here and stuff. It's not an automatic profiler. Like if you see in your profile that there is a big gap, then you can try adding a scope there. But it's actually nicer this way because you get less noise, so you can kind of surgically sort of put in profiler scopes and figure out where your time is. And this profile update is just uses this spall library, so it tells it to start profiling until the scope ends, and then it tells it to stop what it's doing. And then you can also manually make profiling scopes like this. If you don't want to profile a whole function, you can like use the subscope. You can name like, okay, profile start, this is cat physics, it goes from here down to here. It was quite nice. I recommend it. Yeah, so I usually try to stream a bit more in the evening since I have so many people from the US. But it's also nice to work in the day sometimes. It's also fun sometimes when I do early streams. I get people from Asia and Australia joining, which can be fun also. Okay, what was I doing before I started talking about spall? Yeah, this guy. Oh, now it's... stuttering again. Oh, that's quite something. When I started the profiler, then I get a little bit of a stall, but then after that, the stuttering is gone. Maybe something is wrong. Wait, I'm gonna check something. That's not the profile that's breaking everything. No, this just returns. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it only happens in the editor. And now it's like a bit bad. And then I profile, and then it's gone. And then it's gone after I stop profiling as well. It's almost like when I spend some time in the editor and then I go back. No? I don't know. Who knows? I don't think it happens in the release build. It might be. And now it's sort of. I don't think maybe you see it. It's just a bit. It's like the frame rate gets a bit funny. But yeah, it was great to get the small profiler in because I was able to fix. I found several, like, my game of course doesn't require a very cool PC. It's just very simple game. Some people like to say it runs on a potato, but I was able to find places where sort of the frame rate suddenly, like frames where you had like stalls and where the frame rate maybe suddenly doubled for like 2 or 1 frame or something, you know, because of some stupid code. So it's nice to find that with the profiler. Okay, so now we just need to. I think maybe it doesn't matter. I was thinking maybe I should make his collider big, but I don't care really. I can jump like this. Maybe it's fun if you hit this. I'll do that. Okay. CE equals cave. But can I add a collider afterwards easily? You had to mod Fallout New Vegas because it was stuttering on your fancy graphics card. Yeah, it can be a problem with old games that they have, something in the logic goes funny when maybe either the graphics card gets too fast, so maybe you hit a race condition in the game suddenly that the devs never saw because maybe your frame got so fast and then it sort of went crazy. Otherwise, I remember old DOS games that was not, they had no. You just run them on a too new PC and they just go too fast because they were just made for like kind of one type of machine, like within some kind of range of a few megahertz of CPU, and then if you run it on like you get your new fancy Pentium computer, you run it on there, and then the game goes like 5 times the speed. Because they didn't have any kind of weight or frame rate independence in there. Right, I can fix the collider later. Right now I want to add the extra dialogue for when you talk to him. So we need a progress flag for that. And my giant thing here is something for my next game. I have a global progress flag thingy, so whenever you want to have some state that you can check later, you have to add it to this thing. What would be, of course, good is to have a progress flaggy thingy. Like you can set a flag on an NPC, because many of these are just like NPC knows you said this to it or something. So like have each NPC have a little storage of its own of things. Yeah, but whatever. Cave opened. Write that. Yeah, I really like New Vegas. I think New Vegas is the, when I was a teenager, my favorite games were the sort of the Fallout 1 and 2, and I think New Vegas is my favorite along those two. Maybe even sometimes I think I like New Vegas even more than Fallout 1 and 2. But I vastly prefer New Vegas to Fallout 3 and 4 and stuff, because I think Obsidian, who made New Vegas, has a better idea of interesting. I don't know. There's just something about the writing and everything. Troy Maxwell, hello, is asking how come you decided to make your own map editor instead of using something like LDTK? There's two things to that. So my own map, I can just show here. I have this little editor here that I can zoom around, I can place entities, and I can place tiles. And I have a quite long 40-minute video on how I built this stuff, if you want to watch that. But the reason I used this instead of using something like LDTK is I haven't actually used LDTK, so I can't make sort of a fair comparison really. But my game does have some specific, I use lots of splines to sort of animate things around. Like if you go to the second level here, then the rocket sort of comes out this planet, it goes along a spline, and I don't know if LDTK is more for using grid align stuff, because I have a tile grid, but then I also put entities sort of off grid, and I tend to hook up quite a lot of small special funny things, like, oh, there's this spline here that you can fly along and stuff. But another reason I did it is because I just went on autopilot, because I've worked in game dev for a long time, and what I've been doing is I've been making tools for game engines. So that's sort of my that's sort of my safe thing that I like. Oh, this I know how to do. So building all this kind of stuff here with all these buttons and like building data models and saving that and making it all nice to use. I haven't tried to make this too fancy. Like it's not the most user-friendly thing. It's user-friendly enough for me as a single person to use. But I just kind of on autopilot started doing that, building it, because to me it's making the game is way more work than building the editor. As long as you don't try to build the editor. There's the problem, right? If you try to make a production ready thing that you can, if you try to make the editor so it's production ready and I can put it on the internet for someone else to download and use, then it's like 10 times work than you making something that's good enough for yourself. As long as you fix the things that are annoying for yourself, then it's all fine. But yeah, it's sort of just what I was used to doing at work. Sansen says, turn off VSync, cat and onion at 3k FPS. Let's find out. How many FPS does it run in? That's a fun question. VSync. But actually, I should do a let's do it in the debug build, see how fast it goes. Oh, you were behind the video, Sansen. Oh, that's true. You saw how. Let's try, because there is some additional time. So you saw in the profiler that it was I closed it. But what I do in my game is I render the whole game, but I render it to a render texture, and the reason I do that is because I've locked it to 69 because of reasons. So if you run it at a different resolution, it adds black bars. And then I need to, after everything is done, I need to blit it to the back buffer from this render texture. So that sometimes takes a bit of time, but then most of the rest is vsync. But it would be interesting to see how long is set target. Yeah, actually, let's not do that, because what will happen is I will cook my GPU too much and then the stream will start lagging. That has happened before when I was trying to do stuff like this. So we're just gonna... It's probably something like 3000 FPS, that's correct. Because that's like 1 over 0.003, is it? Like that, yes. Yeah, so it probably ran at maybe 2, I would say maybe 2 or 3000 FPS. That's fun. Right, so we send open cave event open cave. Okay. And then when this has happened, we say set progress cave opened. Excellent. And yeah, you're watching my Spall profile and it said 300 microseconds, and I was thinking of like I could optimize this game more. You know, it would be fun to have it sort of like actually optimized, because currently it is stupid in many ways. It kind of doesn't do any proper... The collision detection is very slow, but of course I don't need to do that. But still, it's 300 microseconds. But this is a very fast computer. Yeah, I did that once. Where my game, there was a problem in my game, so it started just stealing all the GPU or the CPU or something, and then my stream started dying. And I was like, what's going on? Why is something wrong with YouTube? But it was actually my machine that was totally being cooked. And then, you know, it takes a few % of your CPU and GPU to take your whole screen and put it on a stream, because it's constantly encoding it. So you shouldn't... it can actually be a problem if you're making a very high-end game and you're trying to stream it. Then some people have a separate computer, so you have a capture card. So you capture your screen output and have a separate computer encode it. Then you can never get this problem. But that's... I know Freya Holmer has some setup like that, I think, with a separate capture computer. But yeah. Column Cheney asks, do you have any opinion on SDL2 versus Raylib and why you use Raylib? I haven't used SDL in a long while, but what I remember about SDL is that I think Raylib is more... I think Raylib has more things, like it's more ready for just quickly prototyping out a game. So I think SDL2 you have to do slightly more work. I don't know if SDL has, like we can go into Raylib and look like you know, I don't know, does SDL have cameras and raw texture? Like Raylib has all its different functions for drawing textures and drawing text. Like I think SDL has many of these things, but I just think the SDL stuff is maybe slightly lower level, so it's slightly less user friendly, but you have slightly more control. But for a simple game you usually don't need that. And the thing about Raylib is that Ray, who made it in order to teach game development. So it was supposed to be this thing where he wanted to teach people making video games in C with a simple library that sort of wasn't hard to use. So it's actually meant to be a good first thing for your first game. But it turns out it's just pretty nice and comfy just to make a game with, even if you know how to make games. So even if I restarted this, I would not use SDL over Raylib. I don't have any, like, it's just slightly harder to use, and I don't think I'll get any big benefits out of it. Raylib does stuff like I don't know if I think SDL maybe does sound also, but anyways, it's just everything is a slightly higher level in Raylib. What was I thinking? Yeah, I wouldn't use SDL2 for a next project either. I would use Raylib, or if I want to go more low level, what I would do is I would probably try maybe the so-called Libs. So-called is this thing that essentially provides a rendering API similar to DirectX, but it's actually abstracted, so it translates underneath to Vulkan or DirectX or OpenGL. I don't know exactly which, but it's sort of cross-platform. So it has like separate, like one module for opening a window and managing input, and one module for like doing the rendering backend via a sort of abstract render backend, and then it has stuff for sound and stuff, I think. It feels a bit more true low level in the sense that you just get a graphics API. So, you know, you would have to make like a quad with a texture and stuff. So I would think I would either use Raylib and have it sort of at a nice comfy high level, or I would drop all the way to something like Sokol. Or you know, you can also use the rendering APIs directly, but you only have so much time. Yeah, if you have tried some toy project with SDL, try a quick toy project with Raylib and see if you like it. Maybe the toy project can become your real project. Like, try doing something tiny that you actually like. Sokol needs an extra build step for shader compilation. But does it have its own shader compiler or something? Is that what? But that's, yeah, I can probably run, if I used it, then I would probably run that shader compiler as a separate process and then just import it when it's done. Anyways, I keep getting, okay, so we have set the progress cave open. And then what we can do now is at the start here, Callum Cheney says that their time using OpenGL directly was not comfy. No, OpenGL is not very fun. I think one of my favorite, I've tried many different graphics APIs. I think the least fun was Vulkan. That was even less fun than OpenGL because it's like 1,000 lines to get a triangle on the screen. I would never use Vulkan for anything if I didn't have to. But I've tried DirectX 12. It was okay, but it also tries to be a bit more low level like Vulkan. The nicest library I've used was DirectX 11. That's like, yeah, that's just, it was just nice. It was just nice to use and sort of felt like it was slightly less strange than GL. But so if you're gonna try something, try DirectX 11. I think someone chat can correct me, but if you use Sokol, I think Sokol looks a bit like DirectX 11. I'm not sure, like it sort of has the same, but I'm yes, now we'll check the progress here. Cave opened. Sansen thinks Vulkan is fun. It was fun for a while, maybe to you, but yeah, it just the thing about Vulkan was that even when I sort of had been doing it for a while, I still didn't really understand some things. Like I've worked with graphics engineers that are very good at what they do, and they're still like, you know, the management of descriptor sets and stuff in Vulkan and understanding all that and managing it in a good way. It's just like, you know, but the people who make Vulkan didn't seem to understand how to do it properly. It's just okay, now is, if you talk to the cave again when the mouth is open, then it would be like, who oh, maybe the cat says something first. Hi, thanks for letting me through. And then the cave goes like, this is supposed to be like, it says you're welcome. And Callum says that DirectX hurts my hands with all that shift key from all the capital letters. Yeah, maybe try Sokol. I think Sokol uses snake case a lot. Right. Will it work? Wait, let's reset the game. Oh, I've changed my keyboard bindings recently, the default bindings. It used to be A and S was go to the next and previous item, and Control was use. But I think that's sort of a nerdy old school way to do it, because on Mac, on many platforms, press Control many times and your computer is like, do you want to enable dictation, or, you know, something like that. So I just use A and D, and then the key between them is S, and then that's the use the current one, and then you jump on space. Okay, let's talk to this guy. Ah, perfect. I should move this. Let's see here. Yeah, I can move the. Oh, that's a state. Bug. When you jump out into the editor and out again, it resets the world, but it doesn't reset the state. Okay, I want to move this one 3 pixels to the right and 1 pixel up. Three and 1 pixel up, so it's in a nice comfy place. This is currently gets in the poor guy's eye. Cave in. That's a good first little experience in the game. And now the big question is, okay, so you start the game here, it's like, okay, go to the left, and then you run, you just hold your left arrow, and then you get down here. And now you're sort of stuck here. So I want to force the player to do some stuff, and I really need you to understand that you can get to this thing here by pressing D, and that you can use the current one with S, or with the gamepad. You use R1, L1, and then you have the... It's almost more obvious with the gamepad because the button names are so obvious. This is just like random letters. So I could either do my old school way of having like buttons on the wall. So I would have like, maybe I can have like the D and the talk and the S or something here. But I'm not sure it's needed. Like if you're down here and you see this question mark and you try to look at this thing and then you go over here and then you try that and then it's like, I should try talking to it. And then you're like, okay, how do I talk? And then you, maybe eventually you look down here. Maybe I can do the thing I did. So when I'm over here, I do a thing. You can see here, it starts flashing this one when I'm in this a box here essentially. That makes it flash this thing. Maybe I could do that. Or something. Just to direct your attention to... Yeah. Maybe I'll do something like that. Quick. I'm gonna have a quick break. 3 minutes. Hello. Let's see. What are we doing? Oh, it's changed. It's my favorite hack of... That will sound like these people who say that everything is life hacks. Now, it's my favorite thing I've done with this, that I have behind, so you have my face here, right? Or you have my face here somewhere. And what I've done is I hid the chat behind it, so I don't have to look to the side all the time. I can look onto the screen. And the chat is right there. And then I also know exactly where my camera is, so I don't accidentally do stuff behind the camera. I mean, some people would put the chat on the screen, but I only stream on YouTube where you get a chat replay anyway, so I don't know if it's that. I don't know if it's something you should really need to do on YouTube. Anyways. Right, so maybe how do we make sure that you understand that you need to talk to the cave? It's the mouth of the cave. I should try talking to it. Okay, Now you know that you need to talk to it. How do you get attention to that this is the way you do it? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have a trigger down here that when you're inside it and you haven't opened the mouth yet of it, then it will flash this guy, and it will also flash this thing until you like it will make sure that you need to press this, and then when this is selected, maybe it flashes this. It's just you don't want to be you want to be as with tutorials it's so easy to make assumptions that people will understand this thing, but it's like, yeah, people just they need to do it themselves once, and if they can't get the idea of how to do it themselves once, then it's very hard to communicate that. And I don't want to put like text like, oh, press this button, do this, because I'm trying to have sort of an interactive little funny tutorial. How did I make the trigger over here? Flash butter pickup. Okay, it's totally custom. Okay, let's make a similar one. Trigger name, flash talk. This is if you're in the trigger. I won't use this. I will check it down here instead. Okay. If a.type equals talk and you're in the talk flash talk, right? Then we go over here and make a new trigger that's sort of down here. And then we set the name flash talk. See, now this thing is flashing. I'm trying to think if maybe I should not do this at all with the flashing, because didn't have a note about my idea for design for this. Let's see, I wrote to myself somewhere. Okay. Yeah, I could just, because you know in here I have this, in here I have these cave paintings, so it's good to have a consistent theme. Like up here in the start you have this kind of thing. You fall down here. It's a bit annoying in a sense that I need to teach someone to do all this stuff before I teach them the most simple thing, which is to jump, you know. But maybe that's fine. So maybe maybe I can show this binding to go to the next thing here. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show exactly this thing. D with the arrows, like D, arrow, arrow, and then to the right of it there is the talk thingy. And then sort of you press it and you see something change down here and then everything is fine. I just need to take your attention from this, like something here where you look down to here. I think that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, let's do that. So I'm gonna skip this whole blinking stuff because I don't think tutorial wise having your attention be like it's something here and then it's something here, like there's some cave paintings and then there's something down here. It just becomes a bit, it's better to have one language for how you try to communicate things. I'm gonna remove that one. I'm gonna remove this trigger name also. Hopefully it will all make sense. Okay, so we need to draw this binding here somehow. I've done this before. I even disabled this guy. This is for drawing the walk right binding. This is for drawing the jump binding. This is for drawing the climb binding. And it's the reason it's abstract thing like that is because you might use the gamepad or you might use the keyboard. So the most recently used one will show. I'm trying to think the best way to represent this. It's like, yeah. I think I'm gonna think about this because I'm not sure. I need to. I don't want to make lots of extra stuff here just because. Could have a. So my plan was maybe take this speech bubble, put it here on the wall, but in this kind of brown cave painting way. And then next to it have this binding with the D or the R1 with the arrow, so you sort of know that, okay, go, but I don't know. You know what I can do instead that's maybe better? If you do understand this quickly, then you will just like, oh, because some people are very good at games and they're like, okay, they just jump around a bit, they're like, oh, I can change these things down here in the left corner with these funny buttons. And then they will do all that. What you can do is like, if people are stuck in this area down here for a while, then the cat just after a while you says something like there's a, it just passively just says like use whatever keys you have, the A and D or the R1, L1 to change ability and talk to the, like it can maybe it says I should talk to the cave opening to ask if I can pass through. Use R1, L1 to sort of change items. That's just a fallback for people who don't look at the UI and or don't like connect. Maybe they're using keyboard and don't connect this stuff. It's just a fail safe, really. I think that's a better idea because you sort of have the stuff on the screen here, right? And then I can do the same. Now I messed up my camera. And then I can do the same stuff over here. If you're like in this area and you don't know what to do, hopefully everything is quite clear from over with the cave, because you can now you know you can change these things. But I think if you inspect it's a narrow crack in the wall I can fit through. Yeah, it says some silly stuff, but I think that, yeah, it's funny. These kind of things is design wise for game design. These are the things that where I make the least amount of progress compared to how much I keep thinking about it, because it's like you need to do very small simple things that are very obvious to make sure people understand what your game how your game works. But you don't also want to drag it out too long so it becomes a long boring tutorial where it's like, hello, this is a keyboard. Have you seen a keyboard before? Yeah. Oh well. So maybe I can do that. How would I do that then? If you stand down here for more than 30 seconds maybe, and you're not talking to anyone and you haven't talked to this one, then maybe the cat says something to hint to you. Yeah. I'm gonna think about this. I can't decide right now exactly what's the best. Sometimes you just have to build something, but it just feels a bit funny. Let's make sure we save our work. Put this into source control. Cave face in tutorial cave. Okay. So then of course the next part is this, but here I need to get rid of the B on the butter. That's the first thing, because you can't have that. Because then people with Xbox controllers think you need to push the B button. And then but I still need to communicate somehow that you can try using an item here. Now I'm once again thinking like maybe I can just flash the butter icon instead down here when I stand up here. But what I could do is that the four things alternatives you have up here is inspect, talk, pick up, or butter. I could make it so that there's for this one specifically, there's like on each of these, on the inspect, on the talk, and on the pickup, there is custom lines that directs your attention to this one. It's like I can't fit through here unless something butter, and then just maybe try talking to it, and instead of saying hello opening, maybe it says like hello opening that I can fit through if I am slippery like butter, and pickup says something else. Maybe something like that. Yeah, I'm gonna think about these things. Let's see if I'm gonna quickly pull this window aside, see my to-do, if I have anything more fun in here that we can do now. Here's my to-do list. It contains lots of stuff. The table in the chat says that the butter bit is clear enough for players to understand. Yeah, hopefully. The main problem before was that people didn't understand how to pick up the butter because their attention hadn't been down here before. So, but with the talking stuff, I now directed attention to the things down here. Yeah, I'm gonna remove the B. It's just not gonna be a B on there. I don't know. But yeah, I can't just have a block like that. I think in that case I should remove this completely, this block thing here, because it won't represent anything. Because if I remove the B, it's just a square, right? Yeah, but I will just do the similar thing to the cave opening. That there's two things here, right? There's like always need a fail safe, because over here you might have run down here like this. Play with the gamepad. Might run down like this, and either you are the person who tries to inspect stuff, and then you will have noticed that, oh, I can inspect stuff, and through the inspection you will know that it's trying to tell you like extra info, like, oh, maybe I should try talking to it. Okay, good. But or maybe you've gone directly to the talk button, in which case you've already looked down here. So in both cases, like, I think it's quite good that it's on inspect by default, because some players will get a hint then. And then if you've learned from over there that, oh, I can use inspect to sort of get info about things, then you will run over here and maybe inspect this thing. And if you then, when you pick this up, he says that it's butter, I think. It's butter. Blah, 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 blah. So, yeah. I'll work a bit more on that later. I just got tired of that stupid tutorial now. Go to next conversation bubble, binding looks different. Yeah, this we can fix. This is a tiny problem. So when you walk down here, see this one doesn't look correct, but this one has like a, it should have like an outline here. I think it's only on keyboard that it's wrong. If I run down and talk to it, this is like, you know, small details that I'm fixing for the, yeah, so on controller it shows the this thing. And these things only show for like the first free conversation or something you have in the game. It's just to make sure. Some people didn't understand you could choose in here, so I used this up and down plus the button here, and then everyone I've seen gets it then. Okay. So I just need to fix the keyboard one. Game dialogue to is somewhere in like, is it this one? Dialogue tutorial advance counter. Yes, this one. Let's see here. Show dialogue tutorial. Right, is it this the place maybe? Where are we? Oh, this is when it's drawing a line. No, this is the other one. Is it this one maybe? Yes, this is the one. So I just need a outline on this guy. This one is an outline, and that's very easy to do. What you do is you make a little, you have the little rectangle, right? This is the rectangle of the dark outline here. So you split that out to a variable, and before you draw the dark outline, you draw it twice more, but you say pad rect, and then you pad it 1 pixel to the side. Is this in? Yeah, I think this would work. And then you do the same here, but you pad it 1 pixel upwards. And then you change to color cat. The red color is called color cat. And now everything is wrong because I need to change these two numbers to 28. This is the layer in the UI. Draws on. And the layer in the game. Here we go. Oh. That's how that looks. Yeah. That's how quickly you fix some to-do items. I was just something I missed before when I did all the other outlines. Git add outline on keyboard advanced dialogue tutorial. Totally incomprehensible commit message. You might even ask, why are you writing such nice commit messages when there's only you who see them? Sometimes maybe you want to look backwards and find something. I haven't done it that much, but it's just nice and tidy, so everything is just not fluff, 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 fluff. I know some people just type stuff like that, but then you might just not well type any message at all. Just have a blank space. Right. Let's go to our to-do. This one is the one I'm in progress. That's how I mark in progress with a slash. It's like this is done. This is like half an X. This slash. Go to next conversation. Bubble binding looks different. This one. Then we go down to our Steam patch. This is this is the patch notes. If you bought the game on itch, you might have seen that I released a patch. These are mostly exactly what says in the patch notes. So this is how I do it. I just add it here and then I write it nicer. What do I write here? Conversation. So this will be this patch 2 will be the initial version that's released on Steam, but also the second patch on itch. Made button hints during dialogue tutorial look consistent. Make keyboard but like that. Yeah. So we're doing this one. Essentially, if I do everything here, then I'm ready to release on Steam. The other ones are like, you know, everything down here is things that are in 4 and 5 is barely important at all. Maybe I will, if I have time, I'll start doing some stuff from 2 and 3. But just know, some things are like super tiny, minor things that don't actually matter to anyone except me. But I want to do everything in category 1, which is everything here. And this one is annoying. Raylib comes with a built-in feature to record GIF and screenshot, but I don't want that because you just accidentally press it and the game starts doing weird stuff. I need to recompile Raylib on all platforms to get rid of it, because it's not a flag. You have to change the Raylib config when you recompile it. Let's do one more thing here then. Let's... this one maybe. It's on the second level here, I think. You go here. This camera looks a bit weird. Why is it so high up? Oh, there you go. It wasn't properly set up. Talk to this guy. This is a tiny thing, but I get annoyed by it. It's actually even in my trailer by accident. You fly up with this, and when you go up here, the fire will end up behind the branch when you fly up. Not there, but here. Now the fire will go. There, it went behind. Ugly. And that's just a level editing problem, really. This one is at layer 1, and then this piece is at layer 2, and then this piece at layer 3, and I think the fire is also at layer 3. So maybe I just move this one back to layer 0. And I move this one to layer 1. What's this one on layer 4? Okay. And this one to layer 2. I don't think that should cause any trouble. I'm trying to reset my camera. Come here. Let's fly up again. Wait, now he will be... I have to reset the game. He got a state flag set that we already flown up. Come here. Fly, 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 fly. Shoom, shoom. Ta-da! Ta-da! Yeah, this is, here you can see my level files. House.cat. This is for some reason called the house level, because you start in a house. See the diff here? It's just some things, something changed to layer 0, then it doesn't need to write it at all because 0 is the default. Something changed to layer 1. It makes the quite nice clean diffs. It's I'm quite happy that my file formats don't just, whenever you save, it's just going crazy. It stays quite stable. So fire goes behind oak tree when flying up. Fixed. my biggest problem for releasing on Steam, well, wait, I'm gonna write this first and talk. Fix for fire glitch when flying up to oak tree. Rocket fire glitch when flying up to oak tree, yeah. So like I said, I want to fix these things for I have some things that the waterfall, I want an ambient sound. So you have in the first level, you have over here, you have this waterfall, and I want like an ambient sort of. And I have recorded the audio for this. I just haven't put it in because I need to code some positional audio stuff that makes it a bit louder when you're near, but not too loud, just a bit. And then I also want a special talk sound for a waterfall because I want it to sound different when it talks. And then I think if anyone played the game on itch, at the end I want a new music track that starts just when sort of the end animation starts, because to make sort of break it up a bit. So I need to record more music because I don't have that much music in the game. And there is a few sound effects. And other than that, it's the other main big thing is the tutorial stuff I was doing today. And there is one more thing here in this game that's a bit broken. That when you start the game, you need to talk to the squirrel, and he will sort of give you a fetch quest to get fetch 3 things. You can get the 2 first things in any order you want. You can get the flour and the butter. The butter you will have, so you will have to get the flour somehow. And when you've gotten the flour, you can go and get the egg. When you get the egg, the game advances into the next stage. And at that point, Squirrel's dialogue will change completely. The stupid thing right now is that you can do all these things without having had the initial conversation with Squirrel. So you can actually run around and just pick up random stuff. And then eventually you pick up the egg, and then you don't know why you picked up all these things. And then you go back and talk to this guy, and he doesn't explain either why you picked them up. And there's 2 ways to fix this. Either you make sure that this one has a special backup dialogue for if you did it out of order. So you can do like, we're gonna make pancakes, but I see you already fetched all the things. But it might not make sense to do it that way because of story reasons. So what I'm gonna do instead, I think, is that this waterfall over here has a bridge, and the bridge is actually sort of pulled up. And then you can talk to the waterfall, and he will be like, what's the secret word? I don't know, something to make him lower the bridge. And the only way to get that is by talking to the squirrel. And that way you can't have run all the way to the east side of the game without having at least gotten a clue about what you're doing. It's not that good to kind of gate your games too much, because it can kind of feel like put the player feeling like they're on rails rather than, they're not in control really. But it depends. It's sort of more of a world tutorial thing, right? Or something. Yeah. Okay, anything more quick I can do here today? Recompile Raylib? No. This one, I'm not sure if it happens anymore. This one is annoying. Put away key. This one I can't do on stream because it's too many secret things. This is not even related to the game. This one I can't do either. See if there's anything on. I'm quite happy for now. I'm just gonna call it a day here. And then I'll spend some time thinking about my tutorial over here. I need to come up with still the details. Now that I have the cave face, I need to come up with the details of. Maybe I should also have an animation for when this guy is talking. So, two animations, one that's opening the mouth and one that is talking. I think I'll do that Also, maybe I'll do that on a stream also. It's quite fun to do little funny things like that. But anyways, I'm gonna end the stream now. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in Odin or making games with Raylib, I have a new video series up called Make Games Using Odin and Raylib that you can watch. Where I don't expect you have any programming experience really. So you can watch that regardless of your experience and see how you set Odin up and get going with Raylib and open a window and do simple gameplay mechanics. And I will make more episodes of that series the coming weeks. Other than that, if you're interested in my game, you can wishlist it on Steam. There's a link in my profile, in my YouTube profile. You can also buy it on itch today if you want to play it immediately, whichever way you want. But yeah, thank